Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, we're back for the season 13, episode 4 recap of The Bachelorette. This is a good episode, right? Rachel is having one-on-one time with Kenny, but not like special one-on-one time, just like, you know, like the each individual when they all gather at the house. So she's having one-on-one time with Kenny, and then like old boy Lee pops up. And you remember Lee. Lee is the guy from last week who was like gaslighting Eric. So this week he's moved on to a new target, and that would be Kenny. And he's a little dry, but he's pretty even-tempered. He's pretty sweet. Like, all we really know about him is that he's a dad. He talks about his child incessantly, and he's a professional wrestler who got beat at a wrestling competition by a guy who doesn't wrestle. But Rachel and Kenny are having some private time, and Lee just like walks up and interrupts, and Kenny's like, bruh, can you give me some space while I speak to the woman I want to be my lady? And he was like, okay, I'll give you 16 seconds. And he stands like right off to the side, gives them no privacy whatsoever, and then pops right back up like, oh bruh, time's up, like move. And Kenny actually moves. Like, Lee, I didn't like Lee last week, but from the top of this episode, when Lee was like, oh, I'm not here to be friends, I was like, oh, okay, that's reality TV competition show dog whistle for I'm about to act a fool up in this damn house. So that's exactly what he did all episode. So Dean is in the house, and Dean is like an extra cutie. I think we like Dean. We've seen him a couple of times, and Rachel likes Dean. He has like those real pretty teeth. But Dean, he points out, yeah, Lee is, you know, not getting along well with some people in the house. And it may be some people who, you know, come from a culturally different background that he's not accustomed to seeing and interacting with. He says the most delicate way, like, I don't think, you know, Lee likes black guys. And so it's no accident that last week it's Eric and this week it's Kenny. And like, neither of these people did anything to him. So when doing my recaps of the show, I try to keep it just about what's shown on camera and not bring in the outside stuff about the show, like all the reporting. But Lee has been in the news as of late because he had a series of tweets that sounded straight up racist. Like, he's comparing the NAACP to the KKK. He referred to the Black Lives Matter movement as a terrorist organization. So him picking these like fights with the black guys doesn't bode well for his whole I'm not a racist stance to defend himself. But he picks this argument with Kenny. When his date is over with Rachel, he goes back into the group, and Kenny's like, bruh, let me speak to you for a minute. And Kenny is trying to talk to him. Kenny's not really a confrontational dude. Kenny is speaking to Lee, and he's like almost timid. And Lee is like, oh, you know, hurry up with it, because Kenny's taking his time getting his words together. But Lee is so annoying that Kenny starts raising his voice because Lee is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he clearly is trying to upset him. He says as much later. But Kenny just gets so frustrated that, like, I know that you're doing this foul-ish, and when you get called out on it, you won't even man up and be like, yeah, it is what it is. So Rachel is, I think, with Brian or with the elf. Who is she with? Rachel moved on to Kiki time with Brian. You know, that's the chiropractor, the guy that she's like head over heels for. And she's like, oh, this seems too good to be true. And he was like, oh, it's like a fairy tale. And I'm like, anytime it seems too good to be true, it usually is. Like, he has a girlfriend, he has a small penis, he's not really a chiropractor, something. I don't want to shame the man, but he got something in his background. Anytime people are like, oh, he's so perfect. Nah, nobody's perfect. You got something, bruh. Something's going on with you. So he's making googly eyes at Rachel, and they're like all up in each other's faces, and Rachel is interrupted because she can hear the noise from Kenny and Lee arguing. So she's like, you know what, tonight has just been a mess. There was like the Eric situation with Lee, now there's a Kenny situation. She doesn't know he's arguing with Lee yet, and so she was like, I'm very disappointed, I'm just over everything, like everybody's on my nerves, tonight has been a nightmare. Like, she's very about the whole thing. Rachel starts crying, and she starts talking about how it's so hard being a black, and she like cuts herself off. And I'm like, what were you about to say? It's hard being a black woman for many reasons, but what specifically is the reason that you're trying to express here that you're holding yourself back from? And she completely shuts down and is like, I don't want to film anymore. Like, I'm done. Is it because of all the arguing in the house? Is it because of like is she upset about like the statistics that come along with like being a black woman dating? What exactly is it, Sister Rachel? Like, we want to know. At home, we got you. We're concerned, and we want to know what's going on. So maybe you'll write a little blog post on the Bachelorette site and let us know what's good. So Rachel's over the whole thing. So she was like, I'm not doing any more kiki time with everybody. We're just going to get to the rose ceremony. The big debate this week is Kenny going to leave or is Lee going to leave? And the producers do all this suspense about whether Lee is going to stay in the house or Kenny's going to go. And to be quite honest with you, both of them can go. Like, Lee, he gets on my nerves, one. Even before I knew he was a straight up racist, he got on my damn nerves. And Kenny, really nice guy. He is the personification of paint drying. He's like Fred 2.0. She ends up sending home the guy with the elf ears, Bryce, little elf ear man. He goes home, and then Diggy goes home. And Diggy, God bless that man. He was great eye candy. He looked really good in his suit. But once he said that, like, you know, he had 500 pairs of shoes, your shoe collection don't pay no bills. So it was really nice looking at you. See you. Enjoy wherever you're going back to. So after the rose ceremony, it's time for an adventure. We're getting out of the California mansion and we're going on the road. They go all the way across country to Hilton Head, which is beautiful. And I've done Savannah to Beaufort to Charleston Drive, which goes right past Hilton Head. But I didn't know Hilton Head looked like that. Otherwise, I would have stopped and seen the people. I had no idea. So if you see me pop up with some See Some World pictures, not this summer because it's too dang hot, maybe around like an October, November, maybe a Christmas moment in Hilton Head. So in South Carolina, Rachel selects Dean to go on a one-on-one date. And they drive out to some field in some place that I've never heard of, where it's just absolutely gorgeous. And they're sitting on top of this Jeep, and they've got like the blanket over it, and they're drinking champagne. She was like gripping the top of the bottle of the champagne. Man, when these cameras aren't rolling, you drink from the bottle. You drink from the bottle of champagne, Sister Rachel, and I'm not mad at you. And I like that she was so comfortable with Dean. Like, he's super cute and he's super nice, and you know, they're in this field, and I thought that was the date because they had good conversation, they have good scenery, they're hanging out. Like, I was like, oh, that's a really cute date. But lo and behold, a blimp appeared. When I was a kid, like for 3 years, my parents and I lived in Houston, and I remember the blimp. I want to take a blimp ride. So they have beautiful views. Oh my God, did you see the views from that blimp? It was so gorgeous. I absolutely must get in a blimp. But Dean, he was like, oh, you know, I'm not a fan of heights. Sir, you was sweating. You scared. You scared. Dean was like, okay, I'm on this date. I want this woman, so I'm gonna get my scared behind right into this blimp. We're gonna go up in the sky. And Dean, bless his heart, he warmed up. He got up in the pilot seat. He was looking around. They was making out in the back of the blimp. He got real comfortable. It's time for their second date, and Rachel has some reservations. Dean is 25. Rachel, I think, is 31 or 32. Dean is the youngest guy in the house, and so she's a little concerned about his age. But they go out to some place that looks like an enchanted forest. They're like these beautiful lights. They got some chandeliers in the trees. It's like something out of a Disney movie. It was great. I loved it. They have a great conversation about family. They have a similar upbringing. They were raised in very religious households. And Dean tells the story about how his mother passed away from breast cancer, which was very, very emotional. You could tell that wasn't like acting for TV. Look, 25. You showing me something today. I usually don't like large gaps in age between couples, but Dean, we'll see. I liked what I saw. And then, because I like usually they have like the first date and then the second date and then there's no more, right? Rachel's like, I got one more surprise for you. And they roll up to 50 million people outside, and there's like a concert, like a full stage, and some lovely man named Russell Dickerson is performing. And I've never heard of Russell Dickerson in my whole life. He had a nice voice. I'm not mad at that. That was like the greatest date that Rachel has been on so far. Like, I really like Dean. I really like the date. Like, you know, I've been team Josiah for a while, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I might be a little bit team Dean. Like, he was great. I really, really liked him. So now it's time for the group date, and all of the guys, it's only 11 of them left. So Rachel takes everybody out for the date, and they get on a boat. And the guys get shirtless, which is, you know, always a good time. Josiah is like all manner of cocky. He's like, oh, I'm the best looking man on this boat, which in my personal opinion, you are. But let somebody else compliment you on that. I don't like men who kind of boast about themselves, even when it's true. I'll tell you what did annoy me though. Kenny, he's he's nice, but he's corny. He was like, "Oh, I'm a great rapper and I'm bubbly like soap." I'm like, "Sir, you've played yourself. You're not a good rapper, and I'm not really sure you're a great wrestler, a great dad, and that matters more than anything." But rapping. And then the other dude, I think it was Peter. Peter starts rapping, and he said something about, he was like, girl from the hood, talking about Rachel. The hood? Since when? Rachel ain't from the hood. All black people don't live in hoods. Some of us live in the suburbs and have deer running around. Like, no, hood is not every black person's ministry. There's more to black life than struggle and hanging in the chow line. Rachel later said she thought it was funny and cute. She loved the spontaneity. And I was like, sometimes Sister Rachel, I think that she's trying to keep it very PC and not be the over opinionated angry black girl on TV. So some things like the guy who said, "I want to go black and I'm never going back," or something like that. Was that Dean who said that though? That was a little line steppy for me. But Rachel was like, "Oh, it's fun." It's really annoying that she let that slide. Rachel, I see the sister girl in you. I call you Sister Rachel for a reason, because I see the me in you. And I don't know that you're really cool with some of the things you say you're cool with. It's very microaggression-y, and like, I get it. You're the first black bachelorette. You don't want to be pegged as the angry black girl for being offended or for, reacting to different things that aren't like, blatant, flat out aggression. Like, you just want to, keep it fun, keep it light. Like, I get it. But I hope that was your authentic truth. I hope you're not on TV pretending to be cool with things that you're not. I know you're just a girl trying to be on a dating show and have fun and maybe get some fame and find some love in the process. And I had to learn this in the hard way too. But when you step in front of the camera and you have a platform and you have an audience and people listen to your voice, just understand the platform that you have and that you're a voice for the women that don't have that platform. And everyone's listening when you speak, and everyone's watching how you react. And just the way that you sometimes react to the microaggressions that happen on the show, I don't think that that's your authentic reaction. There's more people watching than the general market. And just understand, like, the general market fame goes away very quickly if you don't, stay in the forefront. But your black girl fame stays forever. I totally digress. I'm going to move on to the rest of the show. So the second part of the group date is the guys go to a spelling bee competition. Look, as many complaints as I hear from women about dudes who are completely inarticulate and barely literate when they text, this is actually very important. You need to know if the dude can spell like basic words. Most of the guys got the basic words, but like the intermediate stuff was a little hazy. Like, one dude couldn't spell coitus, another dude couldn't spell champagne. I think that was Kenny, and I was like, why don't that even surprise me? Somebody couldn't spell facade. The guy started spelling facade with a P instead of F. Josiah got an easy word. Like, he got like stunning or something. And I'm like, you're a lawyer. If you can't spell stunning, there's a problem. Look, I like Josiah. I've been saying for these last couple recaps that I really like Josiah, Team Josiah. But I don't like a dude that just needs to constantly be the center of attention, just constantly have their ego stroked and just be like a dancing bear. After he won the spelling bee, he was drinking his drink from the trophy. A lot of people called it. They were like, yo, Josiah does the absolute most. Like, I don't see why you like him, D. But I kind of see what y'all were saying. It rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not off Team Josiah, but I wouldn't return his text right away right now, So after the group date, Rachel goes back to, I guess, the hotel or a private club. She goes somewhere, and it's just like, her private time with each of the guys. Most of it's unentertaining. Iggy, old hating ass. Sir, like, I know how you feel about different men in the house. I know how you feel about Josiah with your hating self. But, like, I don't know anything about you. Like, I don't know where you're from. I don't know what your family's like. I don't know what your interests are or who you be with. All I know is, like, you be hating all the time. Like, just rampant, just your blood pumps bitch assness. I don't even know why Rachel keeps him around. I think she keeps him around not because she's interested, because you need a good snitch. So he goes and he's like bad mouthing Josiah, and then he comes back and tells Josiah, yeah, I was just bad mouthing you. Like, where they do that at? Even though I'm like low key mad at Josiah for like being just so extra earlier, like this dude, he's from Fort Lauderdale. He's the most Brooklyn dude I've ever seen not from Brooklyn. Because he was like, with all due respect, Iggy's a bitch. Josiah, that extraness, it comes in handy sometimes. You just gotta take the good with the bad. He ain't lie. It wasn't polite, but no lies were told. And then Lee, Rachel goes and has a sit down with him. He's putting on his good nice boy act, and she's like, hey, so like what's going on with you and Kenny? Because I overheard, and you know what's good. And he was like, oh, Kenny, you know, he was just aggressive. Now I heard what that meant, and it's not, Kenny wasn't aggressive with him. Kenny really approached him with kid gloves. So to characterize him as aggressive because he's black, like it wasn't aggressive. Like he didn't try to fight you. He didn't throw something at you. He wasn't there for your shenanigans. That doesn't make him aggressive. That means he's not putting up with your shit. That's not aggression. That's like grown ass person. I wish that Rachel had called him on it to be like, aggressive how? Like what exactly did he do that was aggressive? Like I don't like that term used to, you know, describe a black man when I haven't seen what's going on. I really don't like the idea of putting these black guys on this mainstream show and then mischaracterizing them as something that they're not. Kenny went to plead his case and try to explain to Rachel what was going on, because Rachel was like, you know, aggression and rah-rah, like I've never seen this side of Kenny. And he presented to Rachel, he was like, well, you know, might I suggest to you an alternative fact that basically like dude lies and I'm not aggressive and he's making all this ish up. And Rachel, she didn't really seem sold on it. She was very like, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah. So we'll see next week what happens. And next week looks kind of crazy. Kenny gets busted in the head. Like, I don't know if it was a fist fight or an accident happened or someone threw something, but there's a big gash over his eye next week. So I definitely will be tuning in to see what happens, and I'll be recapping. I'm committed to the show now. Let me know what you thought of last night's episode. Let me know who your top picks are. Let me know especially what you thought about the hood comment and the aggressive comment, because I want to know if I'm overreacting to that. Maybe yes, maybe no. That's everything. I'll see you next week, okay? All right.